radiated, right?
That's true. That's probably true too.
You need superconducting things to avoid. The
And they're
heat
using
antenna.
3D antennas too. Should be interesting to see what a 3D antenna looks like.
Current moving inside around the surface of the metal of the antenna. It's a lot of energy. To produce radiation.
I assume they're using semiconductor devices to switch the antennas. It's probably a solid device with an array, 2 arrays of various fine circuit printed material like ribbon cable printed with the design on it.
That's a 3D design.
Oh, okay. We're looking for 5G 3-dimensional antennas. It's got to be small.
Low frequency.
Put 5G on there and see what you get.
Oh, that one.
Did you find your phone sometimes that is a lot of hot? I was thinking we need an app that produce it on purpose to hit your hands.
Oh, yeah.
In an emergency, you just run the app and put your hands around.
So that's a 5G antenna?
It says it's a 5G antenna.
How are you going to integrate that on a small phone? Oh, they have some smaller ones.
But plastic?
Looks like plastic. They've got you've got the so you could do a circular pattern transmission or a horizontal or a vertical pattern, and these antennas should pick up any of it because it's 3D. It's got all the planes, so you could do a circular transmission, or you could do a horizontal or vertical transmission. It should, you've got your mostly horizontal and mostly vertical lines there, and then you've got the ball shape to catch the circular patterns.
What are you using again for transmit your laptop, your desktop image to the TV? There is a device in the TV, a Wi-Fi device in the TV, or is
It's that cable.
Okay.
Okay. This is a
HDMI.
Okay.
So now they're talking about making airplanes out of graphene.
What?
Yep. They're very light. Much lighter and much stronger than carbon fiber composites. Presently used graphene has been attracting the attention of Airbus. I told y'all, graphene's taking over the world, man.
I read something about a single layer of graphene
Yeah,
can withstand a lot of force. I mean, you can make like a net or something.
Mhm. They're saying it's going to be stronger than carbon fiber. And carbon fiber is where they are now.
It's light and strong.
And conductive.
Loco. I don't know nothing. I'm just here. That's how I feel today. I don't know nothing. I'm just here.
You think this overcast stuff's taking us down and the snow?
No sun.
We did have some sun today, but
A little
still,
bit.
that's not my excuse.
Yeah. Patty says that it's supposed to be up in the 50s on Christmas.
Well, we won't have any white Christmas then.
And tomorrow it's supposed to be 47. That'll be nice.
And there, before you came in, we were talking about using graphene to replace house wiring because copper's so expensive. It's a superconductor, near superconductor conductivity at room temperature. And just putting it on ribbon cable, and you just plug it in and run it to your outlets.
I think we are far from solve several manufacturing problems with graphene. I think that it's not easy to reproduce the lab conditions to make like layers of graphene or make
Yeah.
structures, and this is still a technical problem to solve that, to make it mainstream that for the market.
Yeah, it's still years away. All this is dream stuff. At least they're starting to investigate it. But once they crack that nut where they can multi-layer it, and they say they're getting closer. They recently talked about something that able to make it easier to get that angle correct, to get the proper angle between the layers. But it's the stuff's starting to show up. That solar cell that they make with graphene that's in production. It's the most efficient solar cell in the world now. And Huawei is putting graphene in their phones for heat transition. They're putting graphene in shoes, 1% graphene in shoes for heat conduction away from the foot. So there.
I could have used that years ago. Now I want my feet to be hot or warm. My
Yeah.
feet get cold and I'm cold. I'm old.
Mark,
Yes, sir.
we were waiting for you. Start your presentation.
Well,
No,
Present.
Sorry.
4
Do you want cookies?
No, my doctor doesn't like me to have those.
No, it's for you, not for your doctor.
He wants them all for himself.
Nope. Good. Thank you.
Oreo? Totally different. It's another brand.
Oreo? I'll take an Oreo for Thea. Thea will eat Oreo.
Yeah, right, right.
She actually likes Oreos. She doesn't like chocolate chips. And I don't know why.
Do we really believe that they'll make them all the way home?
Yes, we should, because I don't like them.
Oh, you don't like them?
We should believe that.
My wife has a box.
She will get
in the
them.
front door full of those.
Maybe not tomorrow, because I don't think we have her tomorrow, but she will get them.
is a sign that say pick a couple
Mm.
for people that
We could reprogram that little sign that says pick.
we will replace the follower with this robot.
Okay.
No,
It's a little short, but
hard to follow. It's to make the experiment more credible,
more challenging.
more challenging.
They're gonna start making the NFC antennas out of graphene, because it's much cheaper. They have to use rare materials when they make them for hotel keys, stuff like that. They're gonna start making them out of graphene. Cheaper, you just print them instead of making a metal strip.
How much does graphene cost?
Well, nothing. It's carbon. It's
I will say that
graphite.
But how
the
do
raw material is everywhere.
yeah, the raw material, but I mean,
Is it
then
the
how do you
air?
process it? How-
Yeah,
how-
get
Yeah,
it
the process is the
processed.
problem.
Yeah, that's the problem now. They're working
Yeah.
on it, and apparently they're getting it done. But it's depends on what you're doing with it too. If you're doing single layer stuff, it's easy. You can do it with a piece of paper and you draw on it, and that's graphene. It's that easy. And the one way they produce it is you draw on a piece of paper and you take a piece of tape and you pull it off, and that's a single layer. Cellophane tape. Pretty techy, huh?
But then what can you do with a single layer?
And make an antenna out of it easily.
Okay.
Have you ever seen them, like in science school or science class, where they've taken a number 2 pencil and did a heavy black line and turned a light on with it?
Turn the light on.
Yeah,
with
and
it.
you put a battery on one side of it, and
Okay.
you put a
Oh, okay.
incandescent
Okay.
ball on it. and
Gotcha. Yeah. Okay.
And you can do that.
It
Doing it on a
works.
piece of paper, that's multiple layers. But if you do the tape thing, you're pulling the top layer off.
Okay.
And you can separate it, and you still get similar conductivity. The conductivity is still really good.
Okay.
And that's the deal. That's one of the deals. It also has good heat conductivity too. And the problem comes in if you're going to do something that's multi-layer. They're busy cracking that nut now. They're finding out the angles that you have to do to make multiple layers and how to do that. So that's going to be years down the pipe. But the single layer stuff's here, pretty much. They're putting them in solar cells.
I remember sitting in high school watching the science teacher do that. Like, that's kind of cool. Number 2 pencil.
Yeah,
It-
you never
it's
knew about
not.
your high school
It's
teacher.
not pure. It's not pure though in the pencils. So
Mm.
it works. It does what it's supposed to do, but it's not. It's not the best conductor, I guess, because it's got some impurities in it.
Well, that's graphite. What is graphene? How did we get from graphite to graphene?
Graphene is the single layer of graphite. That's the magic technique.
Well,
Getting
mean,
it to the single layer is one thing, okay, and you can do a lot of single layer stuff because the conductivity is very good and the heat transfer is very good, but it's only a single layer.
pretty
So
thin.
if you want to replace a copper wire, you're probably going to have to do multi-layer, and then it's going to take you some time.
Well, I mean, carbon is what is it? 6 carbon atoms form into a hex.
But it's graphite. It's
Yeah.
not really. It is carbon.
Yeah.
It's a variation of carbon. Graphite's a variation of carbon. Like a diamond is a variation of carbon.
Right, but they have interlinking on the diamond.
So a different organization called atoms.
Yeah. But supposedly you can make graphene, and that's how they originally made it. Was put tape, do it on a piece of paper, and pulling the tape to get a single layer to get that effect.
Well, okay, so what is a carbon tube then? You know what I mean?
A carbon, just a carbon
Well,
device?
No, I mean, they do in the nano materials, they try to achieve carbon tubes, I believe.
Oh, yeah. Tell them about that, Vicente. Or Leroy, we'll let Leroy
I don't
talk
know.
about tubes. I don't know.
They
about
probably
tubes.
did it in
I've
his
seen it, I've
third
read
grade
it.
science class.
Yeah.
Nanotubes
Tubes.
are used for
All,
We did with
Sodas.
the number 2 pencil.
all I know about
For
tubes
dyed
is
soda,
Mario
nanotube.
jumps in tubes.
Uh,
That's better than plastic. Then
Yeah.
there's
But they do talk about tubes and stuff in the graphene arena. It just, that's
okay.
way over my head.
Carbon tubes,
Carbon tubes
nanotechnology.
are for plumbing and
Here's carbon tubes for sale.
for
Oh,
sale.
yeah.
But can I rent them?
I need a
Then give 'em back.
12AX7 or 6F6. 6L6. Make it
Okay,
6
so these are carbon nanotubes.
Get a transistor radio, it'd be better. Tubes are out.
Tubes are making a comeback.
So what it is, I think, is there are, 6 carbons. So it's carbon in a flat layer is fine making a hex shape, C6.
Ah.
And all these are that way. And then this is, I guess, a micro picture, right? A nano picture that shows.
You think that's a graphene tube, like a variation of graphene?
It calls it carbon nanotubes. If you type into
Well,
Google.
the graphene is the wall of the tube. It's a
Okay.
round layer.
Yeah, and a lot of folks are in the nanotechnology area are trying to make tubes, so they make it into a.
This is
Cylinder.
graphene converted in a nanotube.
Yeah, the graphene is on the bottom,
Oh, okay.
and then it's wrapped up, and they get it to join, and then they can make these very small. I mean, I can't do it here, but they're at the nano level.
The
They have
diameter
these
is in nanometers. It's really small.
Yeah, if he can get it up there, that's right. Well, you could put your phone up there, actually. So,
Well,
okay.
Looks like Leroy's science teacher probably already.
So if you
covered all this.
could get the graphene around the outside of that, I could see that would be, if you could, and they're very flexible.
Maybe called graphene.
Yeah, there you go.
What is it?
Rubber.
16-bit.
Graphene
new-
burrito.
Okay, that's a new 16-bit. So each of these rings has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 carbons. So it's happy in that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then, I mean, to make a diamond, then you have to cross-link it so it has other bonds.
With
And
the
three-dimensional.
the graphene by default is a single layer. So that may be what the outside would be, a single layer of graphene or something. Huh?
Okay. Yeah, so those are, each of those hexes are 6 carbon atoms at their nodes. And it's showing how they're 50 nanometers down at the bottom. At the bottom left, it says 50 nanometers.
Now this could be really,
Oh,
really
yeah.
big. If you could get those tubes and make a fiber hose out of it, you would have a superconducting hose and a
Nice.
superheat conducting hose.
There's a
And-
10 nanometer.
And what would be the implications? We could solve the energy problem.
There's a 5 nanometer.
We could solve the energy problem because we could make air conditioning very cheap and heat generation very cheap. And whoa, and solar cells could run our house then. And we could make batteries out of this stuff. Graphene is already in your batteries, by the way.
graphite. The first batteries were made of.
Not graphite.
The center is graphite, right?
Yeah, that's a 100-year-old, 200-year-old technology. Graphene is, they're putting it in
There's
some of the
tubes.
leads to improve the heat conductivity and
one
also improve the
micro.
electrical conductivity, because that's your internal resistance of your battery.
That's tiny. Tiny.
This could be monumental if they come up with these tubes. Oh my God.
That's tiny.
If they could grow them 6 foot long. Wow.
Okay, so that one is what, a tube within a tube within a tube? Yeah.
That one, it looks like a tube inside of a tube. A multi-layered tube.
And then you start talking about what else can you do? Superconductors.
Isn't that what they make bicycles out of?
You'd be making motors out of this
Carbon-
stuff
carbon
anytime.
fiber. Well, it's something.
Okay, so what's that color picture at the bottom? What's that trying to show
That.
us?
That there? I don't know. Magic.
Carbon nanotubes would outperform silicon. Okay, they're making chips. They've got a nanotube down the middle, and they've crunched it there a little bit.
That looks like some sort of cooler thing.
Somebody's got a lump of it.
Isn't that what they?
Ultralight.
Isn't that what they make bicycles out of? Carbon fiber.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, they make a lot of stuff out of carbon fiber now, I think.
Real lightweight. Like
Yeah,
you can
real
pick it up
strong.
with
Yeah.
your finger.
Real strong, yeah.
So they're just shrinking it. They're just making it teeny tiny.
Yeah, I don't know what the nanotechnology is to make tubes like that.
Tiny. They first you invent a shrink ray, and then you
Well, we've
everything
got that.
that's macro, you just point the shrink ray at it and shrink it.
Honey, I Shrunk the Graphene.
Pretty much.
Looks like it's not graphene yet. They haven't gone down that road. But this would be what, like the carbon fiber replacement or something of that nature?
I don't know. There's just a lot of interest in the tubes. I know that, but I'm not sure exactly why.
And making carbon fiber, it makes it easy to produce fibers now if they have strength. That would be great. And if they could get graphene to do that, and they can make fibrous conductors. Whoa.
Wouldn't a tube? Wouldn't that be pretty hard to destroy? If it was in a tube.
It'd depend on the strength of the bonds and all that stuff. I have to ask Vicente that one.
Okay, what can carbon nanotubes be used for?
Yeah.
Let's see. Okay, so they're capital CNT. So that's a carbon nanotube is a CNT.
Okay.
So I guess that's
Yeah, there was something down there that said CNT on it.
yeah. Act as antennas for radios and other electromagnetic devices.
5G.
Conductive CNTs are used in brushes for commercial electrical motors.
We were just talking about 5G requiring 3D antennas. And one reason they have to have the 3D antennas is 5G, the frequency is readily absorbed by raindrops. You get my drift. If it's raining, you're going to have trouble. So they're going to be directional antennas involved.
Oh, look, that one's making popcorn.
Popcorn.
Popcorn. You can use your carbon nanotubes to make popcorn, apparently.
Hmm.
I'm just kidding.
Devices, chemical, electronic, biosensors, transistors, electron field emitters,
So one is
lithium-ion
making
batteries,
plugs for the nanotubes.
white
Pl-
light
the plug,
sources,
yeah.
hydrogen storage cells, cathode ray tubes, electrostatic discharge, and electrical shielding. Can be 400 times the strength of steel. They're super lightweight. Their density is 1/6 that of steel. Thermal conductivity is better than the diamond. They have very high aspect ratio.
Carbon nanotube cupcakes may help measure terahertz laser light. Okay. Carbon nanotubes for cleaning polluted water. Boosting solar energy storage by a factor of 10,000.
Now there's another one. There's if you can improve the battery life. That's one of the things that's been holding us back in solar energy storage. And it sounds like it's a tremendous change in how much you can store and how you can store it. Transistors, displays, Bucky papers, optoelectronics, photonic, biotechnology, nanomedicine, filtration, high energy, future energy efficient water purification. Create openings of less than 1 nanometer. When embedded with fatty membranes, the nano squeeze entering water molecules into a single file chain, which leads to fast transport. They flow is 10 times faster than wider carbon nanotubes and 6 times faster than biological membrane, a protein called acroporin. So it could and the same claims or similar claims are made with graphene about water purification. But these guys look like they're much closer to it. Because if you can create the fibers, you can filter. You can make a sponge, you can make a filter.
Yeah, there was a picture of a sponge somewhere. Somebody was holding a carbon fiber sponge. I don't know where it went.
Much stronger than steel.
Look, you can get carbon fiber for your 3D printer. I wonder if my 3D printer will print carbon fiber. That would be cool.
You know, that's another thing. Doing circuit boards, you can do surface mount guys. You can just take a piece of plastic and print your conductive layer on the surface of it.
Maybe that antenna was carbon fiber and
Graphene.
not
This is an interesting article about a lot of facts about the use of electric energy. It's a large article. They have 41 points about the use of electric energy versus hydrocarbons, the density and the ease of storage, and there are a lot of problems with electric energy not yet solved.
Yeah.
That the world won't change with electric energy soon, because it's the proportion between the use of electric energy in vehicles and houses versus the transportation business of ships by sea, planes by air, trucks by land is the majority of energy in the world, the use of energy. And electricity the production of electricity using carbon fossil stuff is also pretty big still. We are moving into the electricity
But
energy, but we are in a very slow pace for that.
yeah. Well, what you're saying is the fuel is still the same though. You're telling me the fuel is still the same. Because electricity is not a fuel.
No, but there is a lot of facts interesting. For example,
I worked in the power industry for 30 years, well not 30 years, 10 years.
400 millions.
You worked in what?
The power industry
Oh, okay.
in 10 years, and I paid a little bit of attention. And the knuckleheads that come here talking about solar energy are loons.
For example, in the year 2040, if there are 100 times more electrical vehicles than now, 100 times, they only will replace only 5% of the oil demand. You know, 100 times more vehicles, only you save 5% of oil demand. Means that
100 times
we are
more
far
what?
from
Vehicles.
from
Vehicles.
But there is 41 facts in this article. That is I was impressed.
Yeah, yeah, okay. It's interesting, but it's boring for me. If you've been paying attention for the last 50 years, all this is cut and dry. This is tell me something new, okay? Yeah. That paper good? Oh yeah, delicious. Best paper you had all day. But yeah,
It would be better with graphite on it, but
with graphene.
graphene.
but
Well,
yeah.
what do you mean about solar energy? What aspect of it is it?
For use here, it's stupid. It's
Use in
stupid.
the U.S. You mean, or in
Use
Ohio?
here in Cincinnati and Ohio.
Oh yeah. No,
It's
but I
just
mean in
stupid.
Arizona, it's a different thing.
Yeah, you got a chance out there, and it's.
Bye, Kenny.
But you know,
See ya.
people that come in here and talk about it don't realize, they will rent for you solar cells
Okay.
in this area to power your home
Okay.
in conjunction with the power company. Well, you're not going to save any money, number one, and you're not going to generate much power here.
No, not in Ohio. No.
No. And in California, Arizona,
Yeah,
Hawaii,
Yeah.
yeah.
Sure.
Yep.
Well, even Colorado, anywhere you don't have all the clouds and
Yeah.
everything else.
So it's silly. You're not going to take over the U.S., the East Coast. No.
Well, but if you put solar cells in Texas and then you send the power here,
This
I mean that's what they're doing.
So,
They have
The
41
area
things
that you would have to
good to know.
use for solar cells and then the transmission cost.
I mean,
Cool.
they transmit, yeah, I don't know about from Texas, but they have sections that they transmit,
Like this,
uh,
100%
through,
grow in
right?
the number of
Isn't that
electricity
right?
vehicles.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we can get our
Will
power from
displace
Tennessee.
5% of global
right?
oil demand.
We-
It's almost nothing.
Yeah, but here's
Well,
the deal, if you start doing that,
Kind of
you're
knew that.
gonna
I
have to
mean,
overhaul
Huh?
your electrical
You
system.
think about it,
Uh,
You're
just
have to do
just
that
even
anyway.
logically, it,
I mean,
for
the
what?
dependence
For-
on
for
oil
the
is
Cars.
huge.
Boom
Yeah.
of
I mean,
electric cars that are
Yeah.
gonna happen.
well, but if you think about
Yeah.
it logically, electric
that
cars
will
are
start
not
it.
really
That
the
will
answer.
actually start it, so that may make it more
Not to
feasible.
completely.
And plus,
get
you're
rid
gonna
of
have
oil.
losses transmitting stuff that far.
I mean,
I
it's
don't
going
think
to
they
take
go,
it's going to
they
take
might have some
1,000 years
512
before we
kV
get rid
stuff.
of oil.
but you're gonna support,
more.
you have to put it up and support it. It's gonna be a big effort, yep. But it would be nice,
batteries produced by
if we
annually
could just
by the Tesla.
have a little generating unit, we
If
put it in the
factory-
back,
Factory-
in the
factory
backyard, or
can
put up
store
a set of solar cells, a
millions
5 kVs,
of
a
oil
10
US.
kV kilowatt
Nothing.
solar cell
Tremendous.
system.
Nothing.
We're,
They're
we're
far from
great.
Yeah.
use the electricity
If you
everywhere.
could get 10 kW of solar power from the sun, I'm saying you could get it, 10 kW from the sun every day, it'd work here. We just plug in, we'd be done. I'd be done. 10 kW, I could do anything I need to do with 10 kW. The problem is, at night, in a hot water heater at night, and you can't do that here. You just can't do it. You need to
Well,
be
you
able.
can, you just need 30 kVA cells to do it,
Yes.
It's
It costs
and a lot of batteries.
less than
Because you've got
Dale
50
has
cents
their
to store
facility
a
in
barrel of
Kentucky
oil.
has a unit. They
Or
have
it's equivalent
a 10
in
kW
natural
unit. I
gas,
think it's
but
50
it costs
It doesn't
200
matter.
bucks
On a
to
typical
store
day, they put out 500
equivalent
watts.
energy of
Yeah.
barrel of
Yeah.
oil in
500?
batteries.
Really,
On a
that,
good
that's,
day.
that's much
400
lower than it
times.
should be.
Yeah.
It
No,
means that
I mean,
in
you get
economy,
clouds and
the electricity will go
you got
slow
nothing.
because
You get clouds.
this-
It's not going
about
to be
business.
10%. Okay.
If they had gotten
Well,
Amorphous
it's going to
or
take
Amaphorus or however
it's going to take
pronounced solar cells
thousands
that
of years
would
for us
help.
to get.
Unfortunately,
point
what
where
everybody sells are
will be
the super
reversed.
high efficiency ones that are
We're
super
not
high
close.
efficiency when they're
It's all
perpendicular
interesting
to
stuff,
the sun
but we're not
in bright
close.
sunlight, but
Yeah.
they're crap anytime else. You go down 5% efficiency and you get a cell that works in this area pretty well. They're a different color. They're a dusty blue.
If they had some that would do 25%,
Mm-hmm.
they're rated for 10 kW, and you sell it for $5,000, and it
Mhm.
does 25%.
Yeah, they're nobody's got that.
Okay, well then that's the problem.
Right now, the best you're gonna get in a normal, you can go buy it off of eBay, is about 18. There are a few that are touching 19%, but that you're paying twice as much for 19%
batteries.
efficiency.
So you
Create
what
more
size?
carbon.
If you get
Dioxide.
16% efficiency cells,
Use
those are
another-
relatively cheap. They're under $1 a watt. I don't know. Yeah, I've been looking into this. Because I want something
And
I can put
also,
on
they
the
don't tell you that if you do get one and you put it out in the sun and then it gets and you get near 100%, you're going to start losing cells. They don't last forever. And
Oh
if you-
yeah, well, right now, Grape Solar and the top 5 manufacturers all give 20-year warranties, which is pretty good for a solar cell.
yeah,
I mean, there isn't much
They're
you can
cheap.
set out in the sun for 20 years and it lasts.
yeah,
So, yeah,
shingles.
just barely.
Yeah. You buy the good ones.
Yeah.
But still, here, if you could do it, people would be doing it. Are they doing it here? And they're off the grid? No.
So
Okay.
there are some decent-sized solar setups here.
Solar cells from sun?
Over near where I work, there's a company that's got most of their roof covered in solar panels. And they're covering about 30% of their electrical utility.
Okay.
I mean, it's
There's
close
a
to worthwhile.
I don't know what the church. There's a church in Middletown that's
Oh, yeah.
mostly solar panel.
Oh, I'm sure they
But-
cover 100% of their usage.
I don't know if it's quite that high. It's
No, because,
Did you know the church he's talking about?
yeah, I saw it. I know which one he's talking about.
the one over there on
They've got
Marshall.
like 400 panels out there.
Yeah.
Yeah, but still, you run those air conditioners, air conditioning bills for churches are outrageous. They use a lot.
I'm assuming that they have a battery pack.
No.
Yeah,
If they do,
Why?
then they should be fine, because
but how much battery? They're gonna have a
lots.
lots,
Yeah.
lots of batteries. And what are they gonna do? They're gonna have lithiums?
Yeah, that's it.
Actually, they started out long enough ago. They probably got
Lead
refurbished. Yeah, they probably got refurbished forklift batteries.
Yeah.
They're relatively small, and they're really cheap. And you can buy a used forklift battery for $200 and spend $150 work on it, and it's good for another 8 years.
That's your job to find out how much money they're saving.
Well, there's
Well, I'll go ask them.
There's
Yeah.
I'm
solar
sure they'll
cells
tell you.
behind Mount Orb. Mount Orb has a complex where they have a high school and a middle school, and they've even got an elementary school. Brown County, so and they've got solar panels in the back of that. That kind of makes sense because your usage at a school is mostly through the daytime.
Yeah.
So, the Canadian government was subsidizing solar and also wind, but they've cut back on it. From what I heard, because it wasn't. But behind the
everybody has.
P&G plant up in Brockville, Canada, they have a. It's not the P&G plant, but it used to be a cornfield. Now it's solar cells.
I saw that church. They were painting one of the walls with solar paint.
Really?
Yeah. So they're it's not just the panels that they're using. They're doing a lot, but I seriously doubt that they're anywhere close to 100%.
What's
Not just, that's my challenge. Tell me somebody that's not buying power.
Yeah,
Okay.
I seriously
They're-
doubt they're anywhere close to 100%. They're
Huh?
they
I
might
mean,
be up. They might be.
I'm
They might be
open-minded.
doing pretty good, but
At the Lowe's down near my house on Highland, they've got 2 carts sitting out in their parking lot that are cameras. They have 2 400-watt solar panels on those things. And I'm sitting here going, wow, that's overkill. And so 2 400-watt panels, there's a generator inside of there, and it's running 3 cameras, maybe 5, and a transmitter. I don't know, maybe solar cells are a lot less efficient than
I
I thought they
remember,
were.
the 400, that's 400 at full sunlight at the right angle. So.
Yeah,
it.
but
All
yeah,
of them.
should
All
be-
of them.
should
I've
be able to
ever.
power some cameras, you would think.
All of them I've ever seen in this part of the world are all facing south.
Oh yeah.
Have
Well,
to.
it makes sense.
Mhm.
Have to. But yeah, let's find somebody that doesn't need the grid. They use the grid for backup. Their positive power generators are selling.
well, one of the things that you'll have issues with finding that person for is in almost all of Ohio at least, you're not allowed to be off-grid. You have to buy a grid tie system.
Okay.
And then it doesn't make sense to go out and buy a pile of solar cells and batteries because you're not allowed to be offline. And those things do not work if you lose power. A grid tie system goes down if you lose power, which is inane.
Grid power system goes down if you lose power.
Grid tie
Grid
is
tie
tied
system.
into the
Okay.
power system.
That's because they're forcing you to do that because you're tied
Yeah.
into the grid.
Yeah.
I was tied into the grid one time and they didn't know it. I synced up my generator
This is
to
what
No.
the planes
Yeah.
that
And-
will use.
close the breaker,
Or-
and there we go. All you need is a
about
light
60
bulb to
pounds
sync
of
it up.
batteries
Yeah.
Are needed to store the energy equivalent to
Yeah,
one
they get
pound of
really
fuel
upset if they
cells.
find out you do that.
How
I'm
you
sure they would
need to
have.
play with
But I ain't
batteries.
not stupid enough to
Yeah.
tell anybody.
What if you just have an inductive system and steal the electricity off of high tension wires.
That'd be hard to do though.
I've heard that it's been done.
Yeah, but you're not going to get a lot. The problem is the distance. It's what, third order equation or second? At least a second order, probably a third order
It's
equation.
cube.
Okay, so you can't get close enough.
Well, if you're if you're a farmer and you're right next to a high tension line.
Yeah, still not
Holy
going to get a lot
crap.
because it's third order equation.
That's
And it's not
expensive.
an ideal inductor. You would have to run a
If
cable
I times
parallel
the-
to it.
Yeah, you need
They
to put iron up
It's
all the
free.
way up to the tower.
It's free.
Yeah.
Yeah.
On free, a friend of mine was a
Takes
machinist
equivalent of
at
100 barrels of oil to
P&G,
get
I
a
think.
quantity of batteries that can store.
He didn't get free
Yeah,
energy, but it was
it was
really
close.
close. He had a shop,
We're upside
all
down.
gas heat, gas
Or
water,
it's upside
everything.
down.
And you know that
We're not-
casting
we are
bracket at
from
the top of the meter
Change, you know.
that has the two L's, they're positionable so you can use different meters. He drilled a hole through one of those things.
Oh,
Oh,
Three
geez.
32 inch hole all the way through the casting.
wow.
And so when 2 or 3 things kicked on at once, a little bit of it would go through the meter and it'd keep going. But if it was just his furnace or just the water heater, the meter had enough resistance to the flow that it all just went through that casting.
So they didn't suspect that he was doing something?
Yeah, they thought he was just an economical guy.
Yeah.
He gave me that casting. I'd never had the guts to install
Right.
it on anything.
So if you live in Texas, you have wind turbines and you have solar, they probably get their electric a lot cheaper than we do. Is that right?
They could. Solar is probably better than the wind turbines. The wind turbines are a maintenance issue.
Yeah,
Well-
especially when they go.
Yeah.
Well, no, I'm talking about the public wind turbines.
The public wind turbines are still, maintenance is still an issue. They haven't licked the maintenance issue on.
Well, they're
wind
putting
turbines.
up a lot of them.
Sure, but they're government subsidized.
Yeah.
All of them that are up and running are government subsidized. There ain't no question here. There's no question. The people that are making money off of it is because of government subsidy. Look at PUCO and see who's paying for that. You and I are.
Public Utilities of Ohio, is that?
Yep.
I'm curious who owns that little solar farm just south of I-74 up in Indiana. It's halfway between Cincinnati and Indianapolis. There's a pretty good sized field. Trying to remember what it's called now. I lose it completely. But somebody's put some money into it.
Yeah. Wind generators, like in Hawaii, you know, you see some wind generators up the side of the hill where we were, and they're probably making money. Electricity's expensive over there anyway. They're probably making money off those, even with the maintenance, even at paying the real rate. And right now, nobody's paying the real rate. They're getting subsidized everywhere. If they got it, it's subsidized. There's no question.
Yeah, at some point, even if you buy your cells online, where you're not getting a direct subsidy, the producers are getting the subsidy to create the things.
Yeah, and the people that are, if you see some solar cell things, like on the church, they're just paying for that. It's a novelty item, and they can say they got solar cells. They're not making any money. They're not saving any money, except unless they're subsidized.
Well, the engineering company I worked for in Toledo, in Maumee, actually, you know that town, Maumee, they have solar cells on their roof. And they told me of course there it's usually occupied during the day, and people leave by 5 or 6, so they told me what they saved, but I don't know what they invested and what they saved.
Yeah, it's subsidized. Is the only reason they're saving money is it's subsidized. That's it. There are no questions here. Tell me, if they're saving money, they're saving money because it's subsidized. That's it. And that's okay. as long as you understand that. But you see these wide-eyed people coming here and, oh yeah, we're gonna do solar power, save money. Well, you may save a little bit because it's subsidized. They take subsidy off, and no. It's in the futures, and that's why I'm excited about graphene and stuff like that. Improvements in battery, absolutely, that's gonna help. Improvements in the efficiency of the solar cells, yeah, that's gonna help. Wind turbines, I don't know how they're gonna get the physical maintenance out of those. That's
Well,
gonna-
why are they hard to maintain? I mean, it's a
You-
rotary
because
action.
it's a mechanical device.
Yeah, a lot of wear, and when they break
And
most
these
catastrophically.
things pivot, and the blades are adjustable.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is not just a single device on two roller bearings.
Right.
It's roller bearings all out the gazoo, and
See the wind.
it's got to go
Turbines.
totally around. Got to be able to rotate totally around, and you got to be able to turn them off.
Yeah.
And it's just it's
in,
like
in my hometown in Spain,
yeah.
all the hills around are full of wind turbines, three blades.
Right.
When you are close to them, they are like buildings, and
Yeah.
you hear the blade passing.
Oh yeah.
And there is a bunch of trucks with hot water spray cleaning the blades all the time, because the blades hit the insects and build up the like a shell
Shellac.
blades.
Oh,
No, after several months,
Yeah.
they become they lose a lot of efficiency,
Mhm.
and they need to use hot water at a high pressure to clean all of those things.
okay.
Well, they also degrade a lot more quickly than anybody expected. The blades don't last very long, even excluding bugs. The front gets pitted when it snows or hail or anything like that. It tears those blades
I
up.
was impressed by the size of the blades,
Oh yeah.
because all the signs in the roads were changing for signs that fall down, because the blades are mounted in trucks that are a couple of like devices that attach to the blade and create the back part of the truck. But in the corners, they need to go over the corner to move the blade, and they just
Fold over
hold up
signs.
the other signs.
Huh?
It's impressive. It was a work of a lot of years, moving blades and blades, and each time the blades are bigger and bigger. It's the smaller box you see close to the generator. It's like a house. It's bigger
Oh,
than this
yeah, yeah.
room. It's huge. It's
Yeah.
impressive. And there is a lot of the wind generators before Indianapolis. When
Yeah.
you go to Chicago,
Yeah.
there is all
Well,
around the can
On I-65.
driving for several minutes.
Yeah, on
Well,
I-65.
between-
Indiana has a bunch of wind generators.
Illinois does too.
Yeah. Yeah, they're all over the place.
I sent a mail to all of you about some facts about electric energy and the future. Very interesting. How to produce the batteries that store the amount of an oil barrel, you need to use 200 barrels to produce the battery.
Nice.
Those kind of numbers, very, very interesting numbers.
I came across an article that was talking about the Tesla, and the batteries in that are, according to the article, equivalent to a 2-gallon gas tank. So
There is
I thought that was impressive.
The 2-gallon gas tank.
Mhm.
Oh, you're talking about the battery
the energy
unit?
The energy in those batteries is the same as the energy in 2 gallons of fuel.
That's not a lot.
That's not a lot.
no.
That's not a lot, no.
No,
Um,
gasoline is amazing stuff.
Yeah.
So,
the energy density is real high. Yeah.
Well,
That-
there is an example about a plane going to Asia. I show it to Roy.
That church newsletter for 6/5/2009. Their Duke Energy bill was $1,900 lower than in March, which
Holy cow.
means they are still paying Duke Energy
Exactly.
a lot of freaking money.
Okay, they got a grow room or something.
Now you
There's no
use
way I mean, that isn't a church. That church isn't that big.
60 pounds of batteries to store 1 pound of fuel.
60 pounds,
Equivalent energy.
So, but
Hey,
say
Steve, all
like-
I can do is read what it says.
That,
what was their
that's
total
stunning.
bill?
It does total bill total. They've got a year to date. Their total income was 87,000 and some change, and their total expenses was 98,000 and some change. So they had a net loss.
You're talking about their electric?
That's
It's
their
just
total.
their total. It doesn't. They actually don't break it down as well as I was hoping they
No,
would.
and they won't ever. And that's the problem with this crap. You see crap like that, and
Basically,
you
it
see
still
'em up
says
there,
they're-
and I'm laughing when I'm driving by. I
Oh.
know.
Well, basically, it's saying that they're still spending a lot of money with Duke Energy,
Yeah,
but it doesn't say what their total electric expense is.
but they saved $1,900. And like I said, I knew a little church that had like 100 members, and their air conditioner bill
Yeah.
was $1,000 a month.
yeah,
Really?
that's yeah.
It's down south. Air conditioner.
Air conditioning.
No, I know air conditioning is outrageous, but good grief. In
It's a
July,
bigger building,
my
it's like-
house bill at home is, well, I'm on even billing. I'm $148 a month, and
How many square foot?
1,800.
You're not a commercial property.
1,600. Oh, I know that.
When we had, I mean,
But
Duke. It wasn't Duke. It was DPNL. But they charged us extra just because we were a business.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I know.
Just because we weren't using power anymore or doing anything insane.
Yeah,
We
I know
just,
my power is 10.5 cents a kilowatt, or maybe even less than that now, which I
Going
thought
rate
was
is
pretty
like
impressive.
9.2, something like that.
Yeah,
Nowadays.
it's gotten cheaper. Mm.
That's just the fuel rates, the production rate. I don't know what everything is. If you go to Duke Energy, they'll tell you if you're going to buy power from somebody else what you should compare to, and they're talking about 9.2, I think. Last time I looked,
anyway,
which was a year ago. I got another year, I think,
they are.
before I contract with someone else.
They're not really saving a whole lot of money.
On contract with someone else, is it worthwhile to really?
Really.
Okay.
It's passive. It's passive to you, no difference. It's really no difference to them. Yeah, they're 9.2, and when I re-upped, they were 9.2, and I think I was like 7 something.
Excuse me.
Somebody's ringing.
Well, I drove past the Beck Jord electrical power station today. And, I mean, it's been shut down for a couple of years. It was coal-fired. And I asked a guy who did some of the welding in there if they were going to tear it down. Barry thought they were going to keep it and reinstate it, perhaps. But this guy said, no, it's going to be torn down. They've started to tear it down already.
Really? Oh, that's sad. I worked in that.
Is that the one that was nuked originally, or?
No, that you're thinking of Moscow.
Yeah,
So, Steve, how do you pronounce it? Moscow?
Moskva,
Oh,
to be technically correct, but Moscow.
Moscow, okay. And, yeah, I could see that from New Richmond. I could see the cooling tower, which, I mean, it's coal-fired. Yeah. But I guess Ohio is paying to keep the 2 nuclear plants up north operating
Yeah.
because of the, for one thing, because of the jobs.
Perry and I've been to both of them.
Yeah.
Perry and the one in Toledo,
Yeah.
Davis Bessie.
What is it?
Davis Bessie.
Okay.
Yeah, Davis Bessie is a Babcock Wilcox PWR, and Perry is a BWR GE.
Okay.
And they were built back when they were building them. They got to have like 40 years on them.
Yeah, I think they do. And the company that owns them is in financial difficulty, so they've asked the state for help, and the state is, I think, giving it to them. That's one of the things that was on the ballot, but I don't know.
The nuclear plants that are now in production they're pretty good money makers, because if you get over the original investment,
You would
okay.
think they'd be over it.
The one I worked at was 690 million last time I looked, and they weren't complete with Unit 2 yet. But it'd be about $1 billion to produce it.
Where did you work?
In Alabama Power, it was Joseph M. Farley.
What city is that near?
That's near Dothan, Alabama.
Okay, in the south.
Yeah, right across the line from Florida and Georgia,
Yep.
down in that corner.
Yep.
Yeah, they're money makers still. They're not. They're your PUCO guys. They're playing games with you, by the way. If you
Well, that's what, because I listened to the State House reports, and yeah, half the people. But the thing of, yeah, like a lot of the state representatives get funding from the company. You know, they kick into
sure.
their election, so
Sure.
so they're just a checkbox. Yeah, that's and they can justify, or they do justify by saying, well, we're saving jobs, 4,000 jobs or something.
Yeah, it's really the only I'm not sure what's going on, and you can't get the straight story from anybody.
No, of course, no.
But from what I'm gathering, and I've played the power guys, I wasn't that high up, but I paid attention. You stay awake, and the only way that would be tough is if they financed it poorly, and they got a bad rate, or they just
Like the ones in Washington State. Do you remember that when they had the
No.
big debacle? They built, this is years ago, of course, but they built like 5 plants or started on them. And the Washington something power. Anyway, the acronym for their letters in their name was whoops.
okay.
So that was
Oops.
that was unfortunate choice of letters.
There are a lot of things you can do, but the guys that built them back in the 60s and 70s,
Mm-hmm.
and they're still in service now, they should be making money, and there's no reason for them not to be making good money. And most of the designs are okay. If the B&W plant's still in service, which is really a Westinghouse type unit, they should be making money. There's no reason for them not to.
The company's not making money, but they I don't know all the ins and outs of it, but yeah, the president of that company gave a speech to the State House, I don't know, 5 or 10 years ago, saying nobody should get any subsidies. You know, it should be all, you know, whoever's the most efficient producer. Well, now he's in trouble. Now he's saying, give me subsidies.
Yeah. And two, you know, like Davis Bessie is a prime example. I didn't work a lot with those guys. I ran their computer systems.
Mhm.
And I didn't work a lot with them because they kind of tried to be independent, and I really didn't like them. Okay, but they were buddy. It was a buddy system over there all the way through. It was terrible. It was terrible. It was patronage. It was relatives. It was anything you could name. It was a boondoggle. Perry was better. The guy that I knew over there was a lawyer.
Near Cleveland? Is that Perry, the one near Cleveland?
Perry is it's near Ashtabula.
Yeah.
It's in Ashtabula area.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Ashtabula is way up there by Pennsylvania, isn't it?
Yeah.
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 Right.
So they were better run. The guy that I worked with was effectively a lawyer. He was good. He was on mine. But the guys at David's Bessie, I'm surprised they didn't blow that sucker up. That's the one that had the big hole in the reactor coolant area.
Well, were you in on it when they had the Moscow plant and the Marble Hill in Indiana, both on the Ohio River, and they?
Well, yeah. I don't know even what you're talking about.
Well, they started out, they were designing them for a nuclear plant, and they started building these nuclear plants.
Yeah.
And then halfway through, on both of them, they said, no, this is substandard construction, so we're not going to approve it, we're not going to certify it. And then they sat for a while, and then at least the one in Moscow, they said, let's convert it to a coal-fired plant instead of nuclear.
Which I know is stupid, because I worked at a coal-fired plant. The PSI output for a coal-fired plant is 2200 PSI, 1200 PSI or higher. Okay, for a conventional unit, and the pressure output of a nuclear plant is like 600, 650, something like that, 800. Very low pressure, so your turbine's going to be inefficient as hell.
Well, I assume they may have changed those out when they, because they shut it down pretty early. But
It would have been cheaper if they had flattened it, but they didn't. The reason they converted it was because if they had flattened it, they wouldn't have been able to go back with the, as a refit, they were able to include it in the taxes that they had already levied.
yeah, gotcha. Yeah, it's all about approving the bond issues.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
that's some of the things you can get into with funding and how it's funded.
Oh, I don't doubt
And
it.
this is a pseudo-political thing.
Yeah, because but I think that was AES or whatever was out of Columbus. It wasn't back. It wasn't Cincinnati Gas and Electric or whatever we had back then. It was the
think
one.
it was.
Was it? Okay.
Yeah.
We'll have to allocate time for talk about this, because Leroy's going to blow a gasket if we don't talk about robots for a little bit.
Oh, okay.
I like robots.
One more quick aside. I have another case of batteries if anybody wants batteries.
Okay. You got 3 for me in the
Yep.
car? Okay. I'll follow you out. Mine worked great and it fit exactly.
I may have
in my notes.
another. I told you another one.
Okay. I can bring another case of them. I've still got 80
You
of
should
them.
really, for your robot, you should be using these guys.
Oh yeah, no, they're nice.
3 of them.
Maybe 4.
We're addicted to batteries.
Yep.
Whoa. That guy would be good on ice.
I got this like, 3 or 4 days ago, and I haven't really dug into how it works. I know it's using UDP.
Really?
It sets up an access point. The joystick connects to the access point, and it's using UDP to do it. But other than that, I don't know much more about what's going on. It's tiny.
Everything is controlled. You use UDP, no reason for it.
It's tiny. It's don't go now.
Which way you going? Which
I
way is
don't know.
back? That's the trouble. Which way it goes forward.
So did the M5 come with it?
No,
Okay.
the M5 is $10.
Okay.
So you need 2 of those. The robot was $45, and the joystick was $15. And so,
Cool. Is a joystick an M5 product also?
yeah. But
Well, when you said 2 of those, that's one, and then the other one's in your hand. Yeah.
two of
Right. The
two
orange.
of the orange
Just
things,
the orange. Yeah. Gotcha.
Do they sell something with the standard wheels?
Do they sell something with the standard wheels? They sell the bigger one, and they sell this little do flippy. That's that, and then they sell. There's a little car, and it's tiny. It's only 2 wheels, and it's
Yeah.
fast.
I like that.
Yeah, I don't know where that car
No,
went.
nothing like a turtle.
They sell that walker thing that I bought. I've got one of these, but I haven't even played with it yet. It's been sitting in a box.
It has the controller. Okay.
It doesn't come with. You've got to buy that separate.
What were you looking at there with the orange thing?
I was looking because they've got a little teeny tiny car. Unless they've decided that it was not as good as they thought it was.
Who is it
Is
that,
this one is a self-balancing?
I've got one of the self balancers too.
does it work?
Yep, works great.
So who is offering these? Is it the M5 company?
Yeah,
Okay.
this is all M5 stuff.
Where are they out of?
They belong to C in the studio or are not related
Not related.
because the Grove connector is proprietary of C.
I thought that was open source. I thought C had open sourced that.
The Grove connector.
Yeah. They must not be selling the little car anymore. Maybe it didn't work as well as they thought it would. Because it's only 2-wheel drive, and it uses rubber bands on the wheels, and it's about yay big. It's just big enough for the thing to fit on. And it works. I thought it was great. I bought 5 of those things because they were cheap. So one of their, let's see, we lost it. Where'd it go?
What's one of those little gearhead motors cost? That's pretty impressive.
Those are like $6 from China.
That's not bad.
So I don't know if M5 Stack is a Chinese company or a Japanese company, because they seem to be doing a lot of business in Japanese. If you follow them on Twitter, when you click on translate, it usually says Japanese. So I don't know if they're a. This here's a little video that they put together, and as soon as they release the code for it. And that is not the video. They changed the video. Rat bastards. They've got an AI camera that can mount to the front of that, and they're holding up arrows and stuff and making it follow the AI with the AI camera. And they said that they're going to release, sooner or later they'll release the training files for that and the code to make that work. So that would be fun.
One of your motors is a little bit of an angle, which is why I think it kind of moves in an arc.
That is, they make good stuff, but that has been my typical reaction to most of their. Now the big LiDAR robot that I bought. I mean, it was perfect. It had encoders on it and stuff, so it was perfect, and that was $400. So it
Yeah.
better be perfect. This is $50. So I'm not expecting perfection. Most of the cheaper stuff has little minor tweaking to do. I think it gets rattled in shipping. I mean, it only comes in this box. So
So what are the 6 to 3 holes on each side? Is that to mount stuff too?
those are Lego holes.
Okay,
So it's Lego
compatible.
compatible.
Okay.
It actually came with the mounting bracket for the camera that mounts
Okay.
like so. No, that's not it. It mounts over here, I think.
There is one wheel that has a lot less traction or something. Just always try to go to
Yeah.
one side.
Well, Steve's probably right. There's one of these wheels looks like it's a little bent. So probably just need to rebend it or tighten it up or something. So that mounts there, and then the AI camera mounts out here, and then it connects to the Grove connector, and then you can talk to the AI camera and get it to do stuff. So they gave you the mount, but they didn't give us the code yet. And apparently they've changed their video because that's a little scary. They've changed their video.
Do you like anything from Robot Shop?
Robot Shop. Is it robotshop.com?
I'm sure they do. Well, they sell other people's stuff. They don't.
Oh.
They're Canadian.
Oh, yeah. I've
Yeah.
seen these people.
Yeah, they're.
I've never actually bought anything from them because their
Okay.
shipping just seems.
Okay. Well, they're from Canada, so that may be part of their problem.
I bet actually most of the stuff that they sell you can find cheaper, like on AliExpress or something.
Okay. Yeah. Right. Because they basically resell it.
Yeah.
I think climb's pretty good. Supposed to be.
But on Robot Shop, they did have a like a polyethylene container.
It's a trap. Perfect trap. Try to do with this.
You trapped it. Yes.
This is a sumo.
Yeah. As long as it's standing still, I guess it's. That one wheel doesn't look really like it's actually touching. Yeah. That's the one you're saying is looks like it's got a little bent to it.
This one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. I'll have to break out the Allen wrenches and see if I can tighten it up.
I have those with me if you want.
I think it's just it's a Phillips headed screwdriver. Ow! And one under the gears. What?
Of course. Couldn't make it easy. That's that.
What is this? Power brake.
Okay,
That one's pretty good size. There are smaller ones underneath the.
underneath the
Yeah.
thing.
Well, you're gonna still need the handle.
Oh, wow. The handle may be too wide to get down there.
No, I doubt it.
Yeah, it's in the wrong. It's in a weird spot. maybe just moving it with the. Nope. It's still kind of dragging. Yeah. Anyway, I haven't dug into this much. It works like the other two Mecum wheel robots that I've got there. And it was fairly inexpensive, and I can use the joystick for other things. I don't have to use it for this.
How do you get it to go straight or forward or back?
Push it forward or back.
So what are the two different joysticks?
We've got spin, and that forward and back doesn't really do anything. And you've got a scraping motion and a forward and back motion.
What do you
Right,
call
forward, back.
what do you call the other motion?
A scraping.
Okay.
And you can get it to do scraping and spinning.
Very cool.
Fun cat toy, probably.
Mm.
That one's probably about the right size for a cat to tear apart.
I got 3 of them. They would love it, no doubt.
This joystick is. Did you notice it when it locks it in place sometimes?
Like a rotation.
Need to mark what it's front.
Yeah.
This one doesn't move.
Yeah. That's the one. It's not moving at the right rate. Oh.
Almost.
Doesn't work.
Might carry the candy around. Candy service at your service. Until I do that. Oh. 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 So this is
Is there a cover for the gearboxes?
nope. This is exactly how it came. So that black one that I had was $96, just under $100. I think we set and added this up, and it was $80-ish all total. And then the bigger one with the LiDAR was like $400 on sale for $300 when I bought it because I didn't pay $400. So this is probably the cheapest, but it's also probably the smallest one that doesn't exactly work as well as it
Yeah.
could.
I was just picturing a cat playing with that. Might win that little fight. Because when the cat fur got stuck underneath, or stuck in those gears, you'd have a very upset cat.
John, spin.
I see a glitter bomb in the future.
You can use this for exhibition.
Oh! Nobody told me it's time to go.
That was
Time
just
to
a
go.
beaver, that's 5-minute warning.
Yeah, but look at all this junk I gotta put away.
Where do you get your plastic boxes? Do you have a
In,
source?
M5 stack.
They come with little robots in them.
Actually, they do. They ship everything in a nice little plastic container. They actually protect this stuff as well as you possibly could imagine. There was another one of those little things across the top. It was a little thinner because that's just pretty close.
I
And there
like
was,
their boxes.
Yeah, I mean they give you
Yeah.
decent boxes, and then it was all wrapped in bubble wrap and shoved into a box, and then the bubble wrap was put on top of the bubble wrap. So they actually do a fairly well job of trying to protect the stuff. It's